Welcome back, everybody. We are here at Gamescom Live 2017, and we're about to kill it with Sven and Divinity 2, right?
Yeah, indeed. Divinity Original Sin 2.
There it is. It's the original Sin.
Yeah.
So it's still the original Sin, right? Was the original Sin was the first one?
Yeah.
So it's still the same Sin.
This is the big Sin.
This is the bigger Sin of them. Okay. What, I don't even know what the original Sin might have been. What was
But that's for you to find out, right? So I can't tell you right now.
You need to spend 80 hours first.
80 hours.
At least.
80 hours?
Yeah,
80 hours.
It's a big RPG.
Is there an abridged version that's like maybe 8 minutes? Is there? No, that's a really deep game. Wow.
Yeah.
How big of a team do you guys have to bring something like that together?
There's 130 people working on it.
It's a very, very major title. Wow,
Yes.
that's incredible.
It's very big. It's a sequel to Divinity Original Sin 1, which did really well. And so it's more of everything. It's a lot deeper. There's a lot of new mechanics that are being introduced. You can play with 1 up to 4 players in co-op multiplayer if you want. You have a Game Master mode. You can have arenas where you can go in PvP against each other. And then obviously you have this very big campaign with enormous amounts of choices and consequences.
So you say it's a updated version of Divinity 1, right? It has more depth, but at the same time, the first one was already so, mechanically challenging for people. Like it was like the 90s RPG when you just open a menu and it was like, oh my god, there's like million options right now.
Yeah, so you have the same thing now.
Okay, perfect.
You have, but there's a lot. There's really a lot to it. You can play like the first one. You can only play as a human. Now you can play as multiple races. Depending on which race you select, people are going to talk to you as if you are that race. So you can become a lizard, or you can become an undead. You can be a dwarf, and then when you walk into the world, they're going to say, "Oh, that's that lizard." And if they happen to hate lizards, then they're going to react to you like that.
So if you're a dwarf, are they like leaning towards you?
Well, the female lizards are taller than the male lizards, and they're the tallest creatures in the world. So if you happen to be a dwarf and you're standing next to a female lizard, you feel very small indeed.
Oh, geez. Well, you know what? Let's. You have the world here with us. Let's just jump right into it.
All right.
Take a look.
Okay. So we are showing some new content here. We are in Act 2 of the game. We're about 20 hours in. So I have a party of 4 characters with me. So I'm controlling one of them lizards. This is the Red Prince. So he is a. I should bring him up. He is a prince of the ancient empire.
You see the menu.
Yeah, I mean, this is a damn. But I like that. I'm not scared of that. I like that.
You shouldn't be. I mean, it's because I'm 20 hours in, right? I started with nothing, so I've been gathering gear. Pretty much everything that you see in the world is interactive. You can pick it up. You can do stuff with it. There's a whole bunch of item crafting going on. There's lots and lots of things that you can do.
So you said this is the second act, right?
This is Act 2, yeah. So we're about 20 hours in.
20 hours in.
How many acts do you have in the game?
Well, it's more of a story structure. There's 3 acts, but Act 2 is like the massive one. It's the really big one. And it's like the 3-act classic story structure. So Act 1 sets it up. Act 2 is where you overcome all of the challenges. Act 3, you bring it home.
Okay.
So
I like that. I really like that structure.
All right, so we are here. We are in an. So the problem of the world is all these creatures that you're seeing here. They just massacred this entire village. And so the reason why those creatures are appearing is because people like us, who are called source users, whenever they do magic, those creatures appear. So what the world has been doing to deal with this problem is they've been locking people like us up. And so we've escaped. Nobody knows that we're sorcerers. And we're trying to fix the source problem in the world. And the people that are doing the locking up are these guys here. But they've gone quite dark of recent. And so we're going to see some gruesome scenes. So for instance here, also I need to mention, we're on a mission here to try to save a particular source user that can help us in our main quest. And so here they're about to execute these people, and so we can choose to intervene and try to persuade them not to do it, or we can just close our eyes and just walk away and not intervene. Now, I don't want to do too many spoilers, so I'm just going to walk away. Obviously, that's going to mean that those people are going to be, massacred.
Well,
oh, jeez.
And the reason they're doing that, they're really misguided. They're doing this because they think they're doing a good thing, these magisters. They think they're ridding the world of source users, and one source user can bring down an entire village, as you can see, by just doing one wrong spell. And so that's why they're acting the way they are acting, but obviously it's not the right way of doing things. Like for instance here, they are actually burning this house because there's a sorcerer inside. We could go inside and save him, which would be the decent thing to do, but we're just gonna leave him there, and so he's gonna be gone.
So in Divinity, there's a huge interaction between spells, right? When there's fire, you can just
We could, I mean, so I can split it up, I mean, for the sake of presentation, since you're asking me. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go over here.
I was hoping for that.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to try to sneak. So I'm going to become a bush here.
That's amazing.
I think it's not going to work what I'm planning on, but I still hope that they're not going to see what I'm about to do. So I'm going to cause a bless spell. I'm going to do it on the fire. Yeah, it's too late. So they noticed that I am source spell was done. You see, this was a source spell. I turned the fire into holy fire, and so that blesses and it would heal the guy inside. So that would be an effort of saving him. But obviously, I'm now in a whole bunch of trouble, and you ruined my entire presentation, which is fine because that's Divinity. So it allows you to do it. So these guys are not in combat; they're out of the zone. So while he's in turn-based combat, I can actually still continue walking. So, for instance, this guy, Red Prince, he could try to talk to this guy and see if he can get a way in and try to persuade him. So I can say, you know what, you need to open the gate immediately, you're in terrible danger. And then I can try to persuade him using one of my strength, wits of memory options. So I'm going to try the strength one. But I end up in failure, so I could start combating him. I can say, you know what, I'm just going to pretend that never happened. I'm going to find another way in. And the way I'm going to do that is, I'm going to take this girl here, Lose. So she's a rock singer, and she has a problem. She's super famous in this world, everybody recognizes her, but she has a demon in her head. And so she needs to deal with that.
Like a real literal demon.
Like a literal demon, and she has an awesome story.
Because I have a demon in my head, but it's not
just
literal.
one.
Yeah.
But she has many.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a back entrance here with her. I'm sorry, I wanted to go over here, so let's do that. Where are you, Lose? Well, actually, I'm going to do it the cool way. I'm going to grow wings on my back. All right. All right. So I'm going to use my wings.
I really like the aspect of the game that it's like a mini puzzle every single time you play it.
All of it, you know, it's really I mean, I like to compare it to a pen and paper RPG because you have so much freedom in the way the system allows you to do your things. So let me just jump over there, and then I'm going to try to jump this way in, but I will have to regrow my wings, so it's on cooldown. So let's wait for a second. So I'm going to try to get over there. And then I'll show you some more skill interactions.
And this is still happening while the other guy is in combat.
Yeah, so this is the unique thing about Original Sin is these guys are now in turn-based combat. So here we see our action points. These are all my actions that I can do. Movement also takes actions. So this guy is doing his very best to try to kill me. So I'm going to have to do something about that. So maybe I can, oh, you know what? I can teleport him. I'm going to take him and I'm going to throw him. Fortunately, I blessed that fire, so that would actually heal him. So let's see if I can take him, bring it a little bit further than that. And I should actually flee here. So I'm going to borrow action points for my next turn using adrenaline. And then I'm going to, you know what, I'm just going to dash off over here and try to run away. The problem is that now these guys are joining into turn-based combat also. So both the combats join to one another. So let me continue on my original mission. Try to get my wings back here. So if you're playing in multiplayer, you could be in turn-based combat, I could be walking around in real time, and we encounter each other, or turn-based combats merge with one another. And that's how it works well if you're playing cooperatively.
That is so cool.
So let's do this and jump in. So we're now going to be inside the camp, all right? So technically speaking, I would become the rock with wings to hide myself. But these guys are going to think I came in the legit way. But because of the fight that we triggered, I'm going to walk a little bit over there. And so then when you have this, they can actually notice these are the cones. If I get into that, they'll see me. But this guy will be okay with me getting in because he'll think I came in legit and he's too far from the combat to have seen me. And so the target of my quest is hanging here. So he is a sorcerer who can teach me a power that is going to put me one step closer to becoming a god, which is basically what Divinity Original Sin is all about. So in this particular case, this guy is actually a sorcerer. He is responsible for all the death and carnage that you've seen in the village because he casts one of those source spells. And if I talk to him, this Magister is about to kill him. But I could try to persuade him not to do that. So my persuasion is going to fail. If my stats would have been higher, my persuasion would have succeeded. But what I can do is I can distract him in this particular situation. So I can see that the sorcerer is fidgeting with his chains. So I'm going to tell him, you know what, I'm going to attract his attention. And that persuasion actually works because it was a weaker persuasion.
Oh, jeez.
So the way the Magister is he's paying attention to me, he's not paying attention to the sorcerer. So I'll do that again. So I'm just not going to go through all of the dialogue. So I keep on distracting him. Now, I could have known what's about to happen because that worked, and that guy just freed him, but he's a sorcerer, right? So he's going to cast a source skill, and as a result, the Void Woken are going to appear again. So in this case, they're going to take on the aspect of oil blobs, oil voidlings. And this shows one of the cooler things that we entered into combat in Original Sin 2. We're at a height advantage, so we have an enormous advantage over all these guys down here because we are at a, well, there's a very big height difference.
Well, obviously you have the high ground.
Indeed.
So you're
And so I also have a fire arrow. And there's a lot of oil, because this is the oil fields, the black pits it's called. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shoot one singular arrow at these guys. And so what's going to happen is we're going to get this enormous chain reaction.
Look
of
at that, and it looks beautiful, man.
all that oil is going to...
And this is how Anakin lost his legs.
Say that again?
This is how Anakin lost his legs, because you have high ground.
Oh, yeah.
So, and the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get rid of this guy and throw him into the fire.
Okay.
So, first of all, I'm going to jump myself away. So using a jump skill. And maybe I can actually throw this thing over there. No, it's too far. All right, so he's going to... This is the guy I'm supposed to save, right?
Mm-hmm. What if he dies right now?
Then that quest will have failed and we'll have to continue playing
There
without
it
him.
is. Okay.
So, unfortunately, these guys are still in the other combat. So, and they were the guys I was counting on to have here because one of them has my teleportation skill. So I'm going to have to go and find him. And it's not their turn, so I'm going to have actually quite a hard time doing what I intended to do.
That's amazing. That's amazing. There's just so much going on.
Well, I'm in 3 fights at the same time now.
You
because
really, you have to have fight management skills.
you shouldn't do this in real life.
You shouldn't do this.
You should never try what I'm doing right now. So I'm facing all these oil voidlings. So essentially, I'm going to die. There's no way I'm going to survive this combat. But it's a fitting end. And these guys can jump also, you see. So what happens, they jump out of the fire.
Okay.
And because they're on oil, they're going to be... Yeah, so this guy was not in the fire. The other guy causes an explosion.
The attention to detail in this. That is incredible.
So, this fight is always different. We have a thing called AI 2.0. So what happened now is pretty much all the fights have merged. We have a thing called AI 2.0. So in Original Sin 1, the AIs were they were pre-scripted. This time they actually calculate their moves. So they're, for instance, if you play an undead, healing is poisonous to you. So if you would encounter somebody that has a healing skill, he's going to start casting the healing skill on my undead characters because he knows that's going to start killing them. Likewise, they're going to look for maximizing every single possible... well, another example is, for instance, if there's an oil barrel standing next to me and the other guy has a fire arrow, rather than shooting me, he'll shoot the oil barrel because he knows that's going to cause an explosion. And they're actually smart enough to reason about all the chain reactions that you can have in the game.
Oh, man. Sven, thank you so much for showing us that's not even a small part of the incredible world that you guys have created.
That's but a fraction.
That's not. Yeah, it's a tiny, tiny fraction of everything that's coming up with that title. When can we expect this to come out?
September 14th. So
it's coming up real soon for you.
Yeah, within the month it's going to be there.
Exciting stuff. Well, thank you so much for coming out here and sharing
Thank
this
you for
with
having
us.
me.
All right, cool. And we'll be back here with more live coverage at Gamescom 2017.